community. He did things that stay with you for a lifetime. And so he was able to energize and what is the word I'm looking for? Just get people excited. And they stayed with him. Most of the people who came through the Black Panther and the Black Power movement and the Black Liberation movement are still liberators. They are still race people. And so that's a movement that regenerates. You know, everywhere I go, any young people that I'm around, from my children to the neighbors, to my friends, to my colleagues, to my people that I work with and work for, I'm always going to be passing the message, giving them an opportunity to see life through another lens, because all Black people should have a lens of race. Every Black person should look through this world through the lens of race, not races, but race. Understand who you are, where you are fitting in, who you are looking at, and who you're talking to. Stokely Carmichael taught us that. That doesn't die. Movements come and movements go, but self-awareness, you pass that on and you live by it.
When we say that, people have never heard words that Stokely has said, many.
That's sad. But you know, when that mishap happened at John Lewis's funeral, lots of people started looking him up, looking up his speeches, putting up his videos. I just, once they do it, they will be, you know, they ran the man out of the country, which is what I said they do to our leaders. So they wanted us not to hear his voice because his voice was so powerful. And if he were right here, right now, everything that he said then would be relevant, even more powerfully so right now. And one writer wrote an editorial in the Washington Post, no disrespect to anybody, said, maybe if the movement had gone more towards Stokely's direction, we wouldn't be where we are today.
So what was he saying when he said that?
Huh?
What was he saying when he said that?
I think he was saying what I just said, that there's a transformation in the mind. See, a lot of people got lulled during the civil rights movement when we were able to, you know, Lord have mercy, hallelujah, be free. We could drink it out of white water fountains and, you know, don't have to sit in the back of the movie store, and we can sit in the front of the bus, and, you know, we can try on clothes finally at some of the stores. We thought we had been delivered, so we went on with our lives.
Stop it. What do you mean try on some clothes?
Well, you couldn't try on clothes back then if you were Black. You couldn't try on shoes or clothes. I mean, you have to buy it, or you just, that's it. I have a wonderful picture drawn by a local artist of a young girl standing on her toes with a picture of her foot outline, handing it to a guy with a white hand sticking out. And I asked people, and she's in her barefoot, and I ask people every time someone comes, Black, white, I don't care. I said, what does that picture mean? Most people don't get it at first, because that was a picture like in the 50s when we used to wear saddle Oxford shoes, that she couldn't try on the shoes. So she had to trace her foot and then give him the picture, and that's how he would get her size. That's what I mean.
Nothing new under the sun.
Not at all.
They're still trying to tell us what size shoes and what kind of shoes we can put on in this life right now.
And when that don't work, they put their proverbial and literal knee on our necks.
Which has happened more than once, still happening every day. Happens in Breonna Taylor. She was asleep, dreaming of freedom. I couldn't find it.
But you know, I'm so proud of the young people who are down there keeping the pressure on, making the sacrifice. Modern day version of civil rights movement, modern day version of SNCC, modern day version of Bloody Sundays, modern day version of all of that. They're there through the technology and through whatever else, but they are not in their homes, in their beds with their families. They are in Louisville, Kentucky, keeping the pressure on to get justice. And that is a wonderful thing, because in the era of the 60s, it took 30 and 40 years for justice to come. The 3 civil rights workers who their killers were finally, I think, sent to jail when they were like in their 80s. Same thing with Medgar Evers, and I can go down the list. So justice took decades back in the day. So if they can get it done in the next 30 to 40 days, get some police arrested and charged, then, you know, that's a good win.
Well, that should be igniting part of the fire that we're experiencing just in this entire race, that we need to make sure that we move our agenda forward with this ticket.
Yeah, but you know, I was thinking about your question earlier. I was thinking, again, how do we get up? Well, I would ask the question to you, how would we get Black men involved? But I also said, I think this might help. What do you think?
Well, I think Black men are really having to look at themselves in a new way. I mean, you're either a modern Stokely and are so excited about your queen's progress that you do everything to protect her at this moment. For many brothers, insecurity is constantly affecting them. And this is a moment for us to be secure. Doesn't matter who her husband is, doesn't matter what matters is she's our sister.
That's right.
It takes a lot for many brothers to adjust their own lens to the truth. But as I explained to one brother, if you love your mother, you have to love Camilla. If you love your sister, then you have to love her. And I think the question mark for most is just self-hate. Like, yeah, I'm still hating myself because I don't feel like I've accomplished enough. So I'm gonna be real petty right now and just stay on this pity pot when her agenda moves us all forward. You know, any other agenda, there's no rationale for it. You're just making excuses for mediocrity and self-hate again. You know, if you hate the Black community, then you would vote for somebody that has demonstrated
that they hate you and the Black community.
They hate you and the Black community times 100, times 400. So you can't be and believe in justice for George Floyd and not still say Breonna Taylor. But I find that we are insecure. That is, Black men. We've been under attack, so they use that whole pit one against the other. Like, we're not tied or tethered together. We're all the way tethered. We came here through a woman. So you really need to acknowledge that, give more value to that. And then other bigger Black men need to be making a little bit more noise. I'm very disappointed at this moment, because it could change tomorrow, in the level of Black men who without certainty are asking other men to come with them to support her. I do believe you're gonna have to move beyond the intellectual discussion. I think the Democratic Party is gonna try to spend their dollars without putting dollars in the street. And I think they
can't do that. They're not going to be able to do that.
I think that's a loss, though, because you have a lot of Black people that have never seen money in the street legally. They're envious that if somebody from public housing got a dime. They're mad if a Black church got a new air conditioner.
Self-hate.
They're mad all day if 2,000 young youth got a job for a week holding signs and knocking on doors. I mean, they're mad. And they're mad at the person who would organize it. And so they really want to just be able to do, we gave it to these celebrities and then forget that the celebrity cannot be a block captain. So the celebrity is not a block captain, he's hoping that but you cannot walk anybody in your neighborhood to the polls. So I think the best we can do is to encourage them to get lower in the funnel and away from those who know so much but cannot vote for those who really are going to be the last, the forgotten, and each one must take one. I think we must be you plus one. Like everybody we know that thinks they know somebody, we need a name and a list that will give us somebody that we know has not gone to the polls in the last 4 to 8 years, but it's still
It's-
registered.
Yeah, what we got to do, and hopefully there are many aspects of voter mobilization that's going on in this country, and many of them significant. But I think, and I've said this to a few of my colleagues, that we need to do an inventory, get everybody, on one Zoom call, and what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Because all of those things, and then again, I think we need to push coming to the polls, and I think we need to do something like party to the polls and not get all caught up in all of this mail stuff. There's ways to come up and pick up ballots. My brother won 4 elections as mayor in Riviera Beach, picking up ballots. Instead of letting them put them in the mail. So there's ways to get around there. We just can't let that worry us. It's the people who need the medicine and need their checks. They're the ones who need to be worried about it. They're fearless leaders messing with them. So yeah, I think that we're gonna get that done. And if they use and look at some of the history of our country, the history of our people, and understand again why, there's nothing new under the sun. They might be ahead of the game, but I give a lot of faith and credit to people out there really working. As we're talking, people are working. That's what I know.
Well, I think people are really excited about this entire process. I think that's the top level. Now we got to get the noise out of our heads. We must take the noise, stop repeating negativity about the sister, stop sharing images of the sister. And then understand that we want, every time you see an image like this one, Ashley, with the disrespectful note, we don't want to see that. This meme, I want to see the
Did they show it?
Well, we're telling her to show it right this second.
Mm-hmm.
Listen.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Ashley. You're the best. Now, this is the image that we want to see, obviously, of Shirley Chisholm, but clearly we anticipate an attack. We need to feel this way about Kamala Harris, for sure. I mean, it is important that we recognize the continuity between her and Shirley Chisholm.
Can I just also say, and definitely do not need a graphic on it, but what you just put up on the screen was one of the more mild versions of what they have out there.
Yeah, there's some raunchy pictures.
Yes, I mean it's worse than that. It's outrageous.
Yeah, raunchy, but we won't give them any energy. Got to make sure that, and I think for all of us and those creatives, particularly those who are creatives in support of this movement, we've got to always, every time you see one of those memes, you've got to make at least 5 to 10 positive memes to go along with that. And you can't share it. You can't give it life, and you can't give it light. So it's not the type thing you share with a friend and say, oh, did you see? They won't have to look for it. They'll be sending it to you. They'll be. I want all those. I'm going to close out. I'm going to let you close out. So for anybody out there, you've been watching Miss Cora Barry, and there's nothing new under the sun. This is her show. She has some phenomenal guests coming next week at 8:00. We really appreciate what she's doing on our platform to bring us forward and show us that there was a beginning and an end, and the end hasn't come yet. So you might as well tune in so you can understand the perspective that we need to see and the intergenerational connection that we all have to this movement. So it's your last few minutes. Give them a vision of what's to come.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for asking me to do this because, we did a show. It was fun. I think we spent an hour getting to know each other. And then I went on about my business. And a couple of days later, I get a call that you want me to consider using this platform to help get the message out. So I was very honored by that. So I've never done anything like this before. I've spent my life teaching and preaching and speaking, but never hosting and asking other people questions. I'm always the one who's doing the talking. So this is interesting to me, but also the only reason that it really, really, really means something to me, because perhaps we'll be able to reach some people, especially the young people. I want them to understand that what they're doing is wonderful, that they're changing the world, but they're standing on shoulders, and how it helps them to know that. And it puts things in perspective. It channels you. It channels your fear into fierceness when you understand that other people have done it before. And this is how you can make it better. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to your support and guidance, and getting some people to come on and let's talk about it. I want to talk about what's going on now, and I want to talk with people who was there in another era. And I want us to get together and say, you know, as Mary McLeod used to say, you know, we can all make an impact if we have one by one, but we can strike a mighty blow if we put our fists together. So let's talk about it. There's nothing new under the sun. Don't back down. It's your time.
Right. Nothing new under the sun. Ms. Cora Barry, I'm Munson Steed. As I always say, you do not have to be in the streets, but you do have to be in the struggle. This is Nothing New Under the Sun with Ms. Cora Barry. We'll see you. Have a wonderful evening. See you next Wednesday at 8 here on